Do you guys remember that kid from the Bay Area that was valedictorian of his high school, got a perfect score on the SAT, was an engineer at Google, but still somehow got rejected by all the Ivy League schools, all the top colleges, and then went and sued them all because of this? Now, that kid probably should have gotten in. And the fact that he didn't speaks to one of the biggest problems right now in college admissions, which I think is a mismatch between the marketing that a lot of these colleges do because it benefits their students, and then what they actually do when it comes to college admissions, which is kind of crazy. So, like, let's take Harvard as an example. When you think of Harvard, you think of the best and brightest people, right? The average person, when you tell them, oh, I went to Harvard, thinks, oh, you're a genius, right? That's the correlation people have in their heads. Now, in reality, if you know anything about college admissions, you know that that's definitely not the case, because the truth is genius is actually really easy to identify. It's not a hard thing. It's not like you look at somebody and they're a genius, but there's no way they show it. That's not true. Geniuses show it all the time. There's a massive difference between the kind of kid that would get first place at the International Mathematical Olympiad and the kind of kid that'll, do well in an algebra class. Those are not the same thing. They're not hard to pick out. And so what people assume is that, well, wait a second, if I see like a smart person in the wild, I can pick them out, right? The average person looked at that kid who got a perfect score on the SAT, was valedictorian, etc., and said, oh, that's like a 1 in a million level genius. He should have gotten into schools like Harvard. But admissions officers aren't playing that game. When they get the applications, intelligence and ability are maybe like, I want to say like a quarter to half of what they're picking. And the truth is, most of what's determining whether or not a student gets in is literally whether or not they like you, right? They call this process holistic, but what it really is just a subjective bias on behalf of the admissions officer. And some kids they like and some kids they don't. And the point of the application process is to represent yourself in such a way that you match their biases. You want to make sure they catch the vibe that you're putting out in the application, because that's actually what is being used to decide whether or not you get in. And, I want people to be aware of this, not because we're going to do anything to fix it. This is just what the admissions process is at this point. But because if you do get rejected by one of these schools, you shouldn't take that personally. You shouldn't look at that and say, oh, they told me I'm not one of the best and the brightest. The only thing you should take from that is that, maybe the biased admissions officer who read your file didn't really catch the vibe you were putting down.